Hi, I'm Mark Gaylor. I'm a Sony Global Imaging Ambassador. I'm really excited to be able to launch this 139-page ebook. Now it's in PDF format and it's got lots of interactive links that will help you reach out to further learning resources that I prepared for the A7 III and A7R III cameras. For instance, there's a YouTube link that'll take you to my channel, and I have playlists there just specifically for the A7 III and A7R III cameras. You can also connect with me on Facebook, Flickr. I'm using this to upload ultra high definition images that I've captured with a range of Sony cameras and lenses. So when somebody says how sharp is that lens, you can basically view them on a 4K monitor and make that assessment for yourself. And also lastly is the website. This is the portal that I use to distribute a lot of the free learning resources. Now this PDF has got an interactive contents page, so you can navigate backwards and forwards. Let me just take you through a few of the pages. I won't take you through all of it. You'll probably want to download this ebook. So you can learn a little bit about myself, my history as an educator and a photographer. There's a link out there to the Sony Global Imaging Ambassadors website, and also a 4.5-minute biography that a TV company did of me. There's a rationale as to why you probably want to customize your A7 III or A7R III camera, and then we basically dive into looking at some of the technicalities of the camera to give you a greater understanding and help you set up the camera. Just on these initial pages, I talk about the differences between DSLR technologies and mirrorless cameras. A lot of people make some fairly fundamental or basic errors because they don't really understand how different the mirrorless cameras are in workflow to DSLRs. For instance, live view display. Now with a mirrorless camera, we're getting a constant live feed from that sensor, so we're actually viewing our scenes through our closed down aperture, so we can preview not only exposure but also depth of field. Now this does cause some problems in some instances when we're photographing in very low light or in studios with off-camera flash. I will go on in this ebook then to talk about why you might want to switch the setting effect off. Now on many of these pages, rather than you having to read for a long time, I'm just basically giving you a link to the relevant movie on my YouTube channel. There's another reason that you might want to switch that setting effect off, and that is on the forums you'll see a lot of people complaining about, sometimes in very low ambient light, that their camera is struggling to focus. There is a link in this ebook to take people who have come over from Canon to Sony. I call it a migration assistant. Sometimes the language and the buttons are quite different, and so this will bring you up to speed very quickly. And there is a little screenshot of the playlist. There's over 12 hours of movie support in this playlist for the A7 III and the A7R III, and this is just one of many playlists on my YouTube channel. You probably don't want to go through look at all of the technicalities, so I'll go back to that contents page, and then we'll move out to my saved settings. Okay, so if I go to save settings, this has been a very popular area for some of the movies. One of my movies where I've programmed portrait settings to the memory, the shoot mode dial, is just shy of 500,000 views. So this has really made some of this movie channel extremely popular. Now I will typically write memories to 1, 2 and sometimes 3 if you've got an A7R III camera, but I will make additional groups of settings saved that I'll use on the M1, M2, M3 and M4 settings. Now you can program these to the memories, and I'll guide you through those, but this will basically culminate in spreadsheets of saved settings, and these links here, these are hyperlinks to actual movies where I actually set up these settings on the camera and basically give you a rundown of why I'm choosing that particular setting. They are starting settings only, and you are free then to modify those settings when you need to be a little bit more creative. But it's a very quick way of maybe moving from shooting a landscape with a group of settings optimized for that, and then quickly moving to a group of settings for shooting action. It does save an enormous amount of time just by being able to turn that shoot mode dial very quickly. The links inside of the ebook will take you out to extended movies where I talk about that. And I've got a couple of examples inside this PDF of portraits. This one was taken with the A7 III, and again with the A7 III with a Batis 2.8 135 lens. And I've got the same thing going for action, street, movies, landscapes which are handheld, landscapes which are on a tripod, and I'll basically organize all of those settings for you. Okay, and these are a couple of action shots, again shot with the A7 III camera. Okay, let's go back to the contents page again. You can see there are many links inside this contents page that will get you up to speed with your camera. I'm coming towards the end of the ebook here now. I'll just show you some other learning resources that are connected to this ebook. And that are some extended masterclass presentations. These are usually over an hour long, but I've got something called Photographic Futures there, which is I look at the history of the development of digital cameras and also possibly where digital cameras are going in the future. I've got an extended tutorial or presentation about travel photography because I do a lot of personal travel myself. And then I've got how I approach portraiture, not just from the technical camera setup position, but also design, framing, lighting, etc. And I've also got a recording there I did at an Adobe presentation at the Make It in Sydney. This is a 90-minute presentation which discusses all of the workflow considerations, usually after capture, using post-production software, how I archive my images, how I implement a color managed workflow. So this is might be very useful if you want to extend just beyond learning the craft of your camera. Okay, so I'll then extend on through to useful Sony accessories. I won't pause here, but again I've got breakout movies for looking at maybe improving the ergonomics of the camera if you've got slightly larger hands. Some people won't choose the Sony option, they'll maybe choose a cage or a battery grip, but this is just about really resolving ergonomics for some users with larger hands. Okay, I talk briefly about the lens adapters. Again, I've got movies on my channel about whether you should choose the LAEA4 adapter or the LAEA3 adapter if you're working with older A-mount glass. And then I've got an interesting section about what's in my bag. This will give you a breakdown about how I pack for a 7-kilo carry-on plus laptop bag. I've got some examples of how I keep that under 7 kilos, maybe with a camera and 4 primes, including a tripod, an accessory, and also an iPad Pro there. I've also got an alternative pack there, which is 3 zooms, 1 prime, and again a small tabletop tripod, etc. And then I've got a complete breakdown. That big carbon fiber tripod there will be packed in checked luggage, but pretty much everything is going on the carry-on, either in the camera bag or in my laptop bag. I will name all of those items to give you an idea, and you'll probably be able to find that you can chat with me on the forums and discuss individual items and how that relate to me, and then how I can basically pack all of that down until we get into smaller packages, and then that goes into the laptop bag. Everything that's not in the camera bag ends up in the in this bag here. There's a breakout link there. I discuss why I've chosen each of those items again on my website, and you can get links if you want to buy them on B&H in America or Sony Australia. You should be able to get links to all of those as well. And probably one of the most useful features for many of you is the breakdown of all of those settings which we looked at earlier. And it's not just about the memory settings. Okay, it's about how I've set up my custom buttons, the additional memory settings that go onto the M1 to M4 settings, which are stored on the memory card. I've got a movie called Total Recall that shows you how you can quickly bring those onto your camera. And then I've got my registered custom shoot settings, which is basically an override to those shoot mode dial settings. And I've also got finally to show you how I've set up my function menu there. I've got that support site, so just head out over there if you need to get access to a lot of learning resources. Remember, it's all free. If you want to carry on supporting me, just make a small donation for either the ebook or anything you download from the website, and I'll catch you online next time. I'm Mark Gaylor, Sony Global Imaging Ambassador.